Letitia Walker.
I am present.
Vice President Shirley Baker. Trustee Shamika Brown.
Here.
Trustee Kathy Corbin.
Yeah.
Trustee Felice Holder. Trustee Brenda Moore.
Present.
Trustee Gerard Morris. And just for point of clarity, do I also do the student board member at this time, or?
I think it would be appropriate to just make a message that he will be joining us in our public session.
Okay. So for a later arrival will also be student board member Tristan Simmons. And that completes the roll call.
Excellent. Thank you, Jessica. If the room would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Motion to adopt tonight's agenda. Corbin. Holder. Any questions or concerns? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? The count is 5-0-0. I want to welcome you all to tonight's combined session. It's exciting to know that we'll have a student member joining us at our public session. It's wonderful, especially since that's what our mission statement is all about. And if you don't mind, let us please recite the mission statement. To inspire the passion for learning and educating all students to achieve its full potential. And now, as a part of our, thank you, Trustee Baker has just entered the room. Hello there. We need to go into executive session. I understand that we have some legal updates. No legal updates?
Yes.
Yes. We do have legal updates.
You have some updates.
As it pertains to the employment of particular persons, personnel matters, legal matters, and we are joined by Candace Gomez, who will assist us and guide us through that process. Is there a first to go into executive session? More. Is there a second? Corbin. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? The count now is 6-0-0 at 5:35 p.m. We are now in executive session. Just a couple of things for our district clerk, Jessica. Upon exiting executive session, it was Corbin Moore. The count was 6 at 6:43 p.m. I want to welcome you all to our combined session tonight. It's an especially special night because for the first time ever, the Board of Education has an ex officio board member who happens to be a student of our Wyandanch Memorial High School, and his name is Tristan Simmons. Mr. Simmons will be sworn in, if you'll go stand over there, sir, after we appoint him to the Board of Education. Are you ready? Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby appoints Tristan Simmons as student ex officio board member in accordance with New York State education law. This appointment shall be in effect until June 30th, 2026. Be it further resolved that the constitutional oath of office shall be administered to Mr. Simmons. Is there a first? Baker. Walker will second. Any questions? All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? The official count is 6-0-0. Please give him a round of applause. And now for the oath.
Yes.
I, Tristan Simmons, will support the Constitution of the United States. I, Tristan Simmons, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of student board member according best to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Mr. Simmons. Please take your seat with the Board of Education. You should stand to receive him, board.
I'll take a hug. All right, coming on now. Everybody get a hug. You get a hug. We get a hug. Thank you.
Usually we do hearing this. We would do his public presentation.
I think it's usually the superintendent first, right?
Yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna go. Yeah. All right. Who are you talking to, Tristan?
Mr. Wilson,
What do you do?
come on over here and get us up there.
You got that? No, I thought they were telling me to
I know you
text
did.
message.
Oh,
Mr. Simmons, I'm sorry.
let's do this the right way.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. How do you feel, Mr. Simmons? Do you feel appropriately welcomed? Are you ready to begin? Do you want to say anything about yourself or introduce yourself to the crowd?
My name is Tristan Simmons. I'm very, very appreciative for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to direct your attention to our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Eric Wright.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Tonight is a super exciting night. We have a ex officio student board member
Uh-huh.
joining us. And let me just tell you one fun fact about Mr. Simmons. Did you know that Mr. Simmons has enough credits to actually graduate now as a junior? We had a nice conversation along with Dr. Jordan yesterday, and he told us, you know, he's looking to potentially go to Stony Brook University
All right.
and become a physician assistant.
All right.
So, you know, we back him, we love him, and we want to ensure that he succeeds. But what better way to get his foundation here with the board?
This will be your training ground. And my sister went to Stony Brook, so yeah, so she can help you out.
So thank you, Tristan, for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we're hoping to learn a lot from you. Because although you won't be able to sit in executive session behind the scenes with us, you're going to sit out here front facing with us as we communicate with the public, and you'll also have an opportunity to, you know, let us know things, let us know perspectives from the students, right? You know, and so that's super important as we try to make this the best district possible for our scholars. So you're part of this process, and it's going to be an enjoyable process, and you're going to mean a lot to the process. So thank you for being with us. So tonight we have a couple of things happening. You know, the room is, you know, I love the energy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to celebrate our retirees. Hopefully they keep coming back. You know, keep the room energized. But
Right.
we have a few honorees that we want to present plaques to this evening. Dr. Jordan, can you come up and help me, please?
Mm-hmm.
And some may not be in attendance tonight, but regardless, I think that we should celebrate them, and I will ensure that their name is called. Now, I want to start with Michelle Waltall. She has been a payroll clerk here in district for 16 years. 16 years of service here in the Wyandanch Union Free School District. And she's just recently retired. So let's give her a round of applause. Next, we have Harvey Dillard. He was a full service, he was with our full service staff. He also has 16 years of service. Is he with us this evening? Let's give him a round of applause. 16 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the next person is here. He's one of the first people that I met here, one of the first administrators. Mr. Kevin Branch, the assistant principal. He was last at MOK with 18 years of service. Mr. Branch was full of energy at the MLK moving up ceremony.
All right.
And I said, you sure you want to retire? Or is the energy because you're retiring? Which one is it? But thank you for your years of service. We really appreciate you. Next is, you know, he's special to me. He was one of the first people who welcomed me at my appointment back in, which seems like it was so long ago, but it was just in May. And he said to me, Doc, I'll do anything I can to help you. I'm leaving, but I'll do anything in the meantime to help you because this district means so much to me. That person is Mr. Carl Baldini. His last position was Director of Special Education, but he spent over 20 years here in district. Congratulations, Mr. Baldini. Mr. Baldini also played, you know, a major role this summer in supporting us. You know, as we were going through the transition, looking for someone to actually fill his shoes, and so he was here for. It started as I believe it was 15 days for the summer, and he said, you know what, that's not enough. I love you. I love Wyandanch. And then he helped us for an additional 5 days. But you've been a great support, you know, to me personally, and also to the Wyandanch Union Free School District. So thank you. Moving on, next we have Mr. Bruce Penn, who served in the capacity of technology teacher, and he has 20 years of service here in Wyandanch. Let's give him a round of applause. Next, the next person has 21 years of service. She served as the track coach and as a teaching assistant here in Wyandanch, Miss Patricia Taylor. I remember the first time I saw somebody said to me, you need to get her back. She was a great track coach, so thank you.
Thank you.
And next, from our buildings and grounds crew, for over 24 years of service, Mr. Derek Washington. A lot of times, you know, they're the unsung group, you know, they're the unsung crew here. You know, a lot of times they don't get their flowers, but they do a lot to really help, you know, keep our buildings looking good and also outside, you know, aesthetically pleasing. So thank you, Mr. Washington. And then our last honoree this evening has 30 years of service. 30 years of service. That's a long time in one place.
Right.
And he served here as one of our security agents. And I like to say agents out of respect, you know, because of the work that they do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely.
You know, to help keep, you know, not only our building safe, but our scholars safe, and also us as well. So Mr. Steve Ernest Jones, are you here this evening? Well, congratulations. You know, in today's economy, not a lot of, you know, there's a large population that do not get the opportunity to work so many years in one place. So that's really quite an accomplishment. And so I just want to thank you all, and thank you for coming back this evening, you know, to celebrate with us. You know, you will be missed, but please know that this is your home. Thank you.
Thank you.
So before we move forward, you know, next I think we should have a picture with the board with all of our honorees. So.
Okay, come. That's all of us. You too. If you want to, that would be good. We can. In front of the mirror. Bless you too. Unfortunately, that comes along being a woman. Okay, let's do that. Yes, before hearing and receiving. Perfect. All right, let's do that. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Dr. Wright will continue with public presentations.
Thank you, President Walker.
You're welcome, sir.
So before we move forward, I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow at 11 a.m., right here at 1445 Straight Path, we will be having our groundbreaking ceremony for our Early Childhood Center. Tomorrow will be great day number 2 for this week.
Absolutely.
You know, actually number 3, this is my birthday week. But anyway, right, and my mother's, right, I was born on her birthday. But
Oh, wow.
but I just want to thank the Board of Education for sticking with the process, you know, from way back in 2023 and getting us to this point right now. You know, I want to also thank Mr. Wilson, you know, for his work behind the scenes, you know, and working with the contractors, you know, you know, because all of it is important. You know, you hear me say a lot, and you see in my emails and anything that goes out to the families. I say one Wyandanch. You know, and I think that once we really begin to believe it, we will see that shift that we really want to see, and our scholars will really take off. But tomorrow is that day for our early childhood babies. It's dear to me because I started off as an early childhood educator. So I will have the opportunity to walk the halls here on campus and see our youngest scholars. And so that means the world to me. But I want to, before we move forward, I want to take a moment to thank the Half Hollow School District, because that's where our youngest scholars have been for the last few years. And they've housed them, and they've made sure that that they have welcomed them as not just guests, but they treated them like family. And the rooms over there look amazing. So I know that it's no doubt when our teachers get here on our campus in 2027, that it's going to look amazing, even more amazing. So thank you once again to our Board of Education. I look forward to seeing you all out there tomorrow as we party and we celebrate the groundbreaking ceremony. Additionally, just for the public, for the community, I just want you to know that next Monday, Monday evening, I will be having a town hall ceremony. And I'm going to do the town hall just because I want the families, especially the families that's located right behind the school district, where a lot of the construction will take place, just to know that we haven't forgot about you. We want to make sure that if you want to come to answer any questions, you can. I'm not the technical guy at all, but we will have the team here, you know, that will be able to answer any questions. The construction company will be on the premise, you know, just to ensure that we can make you feel comfortable about what's about to take place. So if you want, please come out. It's next Monday, the 22nd at, I believe it's 5 p.m. We will be sending out correspondence to the community by tomorrow morning, so thank you.
All right. So as Dr. Wright continues on his public presentation, it's important for the public to know that one of the things the Board of Education is charged with is developing goals, SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. And we have to do that and have an exchange in public so that you can see our best thinking about what everything looks like for our district. So tonight, you'll get a chance to see some of that discourse take place and what we think about. I think I've defined it, but let me just be a little more specific, pun intended, right? Specific means what defines what needs to be accomplished. What are we looking to do? Measurable, it gives you a way to track the progress. How are we going to use the data that we discover and explore, right? Achievable, what's realistic based on the resources that we have and how we allocate those resources to best fit student needs and to meet the needs of our families in our districts. Relevant, what aligns? What helps him achieve? What are the board objectives for student and district success? And finally, timely, we give a clear deliverable of the deadline to complete it. Dr. Wright and I had a very informal conversation about what that looks like, and I mentioned to him, and the board will chime in, what I'd like to see. And really, it's all about student achievement for me, and I think we mentioned that a little bit in our board retreat that we had approximately 2 weeks ago. Student achievement in the way of graduation rates, attendance rates, and engagement for me. So Dr. Wright, let's do it. We don't really need it. We can do it without it.
I can talk to it, but I don't want to. I can talk to it, but I don't want to go on and
All
on.
right,
I
all right,
get
all right.
passionate sometimes. So.
All right.
Dr. Jordan, can you help me with this? Or if someone can move the slide?
Maybe, can you move the slide for him? I think it is on.
See, it's not me. Those are the things that make me nervous, not the actual presentation. It's if something is
The technology,
going to
right?
fail.
So we can start the conversation. I want to talk a little bit about graduation rates. Where are we currently, Dr. Wright?
So currently, we're in the 60s,
All right,
60+% where
Uh-huh.
we've hovered, for the last few years.
right.
When I think about the graduation rate, it's important that we look at it in its totality.
Mhm.
And so what I mean by that is we have to think about it from the standpoint that grades, assessments, etc., don't start in high school.
Mhm.
It starts from the time they are in our youngest of grades, right? And so we have assessments that take place, and what I found is that, in doing my research and talking with the team and also meeting with our administrators, that we may need to put different systems in place in order to support our students, even from the youngest of ages, to make sure that we have targeted interventions to meet their needs. And so what you'll hear me talk about this evening is just some of the pieces that we're going to put in place in order to ensure that curriculum is robust, but then also that our intervention supports are in place. And that's not just me, that's actually the entire team from, when we look at it from a data perspective, we talk about Dr. Jordan and what she does from a curriculum aspect. We look at what Dr. Kwan does. When we talk about our students with disabilities, that's what our newest member, Dr. Gallagher, does. And then we have, right now, still in HR, who's supporting us is Dr. Habersham, who plays a role in ensuring that we have the right people coming in along with our teams, along with our building leaders, and then also our central office staff. And then our money person, the person behind the purse, Mr. Wilson. I know that he doesn't like, to be called on, but that's why I'm doing it. But for our first goal for the 25-26 school year, we're looking at student achievement specifically. And, I just want you to understand that the easier thing for me to do, or for us to do as a team, is just to say, we want X% growth. That's not how it works. That's not how you get there. It's really, you have to create the conditions for scholars to achieve increased levels of success, right? So that's what we want to do. And so we put plans in place. We're putting plans in place to ensure that happens. Starting with our curriculum. This summer, we created a committee that talked about academic excellence. It came out the mission and vision statement from years ago from the board. And so I worked with the building leaders back on the last day of school, June 30th, and we looked at what that actually means. and what does it look like in their respective buildings. And then from there, Dr. Kwan and Ms. Woodley put together a team, a stakeholder group, consisting of families, consisting of teachers, and consisting of leaders. And they got together and they defined what academic excellence means to them. Trustee Moore sat on that committee as well, and she was excited about the work that was happening. But it won't stop there. We're also going to put together, we're also going to align it to the portrait of a graduate that's coming out of the New York State Education Department, just to make sure that we have alignment in what we're looking for our scholars to be able to do upon graduating from the Wyandanch Union Free School District. It's synonymous what they need to be able to do in the real world, whether it's while going to college, preparing for college, or for their careers. We want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of our students across the board. So that will take time to really build out, but that's really the goal, and we will get there. But for this year, what we're looking at is we're looking at our curriculum to ensure that our faculty are delivering standards-based, standards-aligned curriculum. We want to make sure that the resources that we have are being utilized. So we're going to make sure that pacing calendars are present. So therefore, administrators, as they walk through, they can make sure that teachers are where they should be in the curriculum. And if they're not, what supports do they need to get there? That's very important, because there are times when there are needs that are not being met, but as we look at those pacing calendars together, we can ask those critical questions to meet the needs of our scholars. Establishing a data-driven protocol. One of the things I realized was that we have data, we're data rich, but it's what we're doing with it across the board. That's what makes the difference. And I think that our data discussions need some tweaking to ensure that it's based on what we're seeing, and then we are looking at what resources that are needed to target the needs of our students. So that's something we're going to do much more this year that will have impact, on our students in a positive way. And then we want to make sure that the assessments that are being utilized, whether it's in the unit assessments, whether it's mid-unit assessments, or formative assessments, meaning assessments that our teachers are administering now to see where our students are in relation to where they'll be at different points of the year. And those assessments help to see if changes are needed in the curriculum or some supports are needed outside the classroom. If we look at instruction from that perspective and then look at assessments in order to meet the needs of students, that's where the real work happens and the magic begins to happen at that point.
So Dr. Wright, before you move on, I just want to do two things. One, I want to ask Trustee Moore, if you go back to your original slide. Trustee Moore, when you look at the curriculum excellence slide, when you were taking part of that conversation, do you see that the next one, Dr. Wright, do you see that some of those elements were incorporated in the conversation? And considering that our school district is right now giving school-wide assessments, do you think that that's a fair assessment of what that conversation entailed?
Good question. I certainly do see quite a bit of what we discussed.
Yeah.
And we did focus a lot on not just the academic
Piece.
aspect of it and the piece of it, but creating an atmosphere where our kids can be well-rounded emotionally, socially, academically. There were so many areas that we covered, and I do see it in here. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then finally, Dr. Wright, right now your school system is taking district-wide assessments. Tell me what you could use, how you would use that data once you get everything at its completion point.
You might be stealing my thunder,
I don't mean to.
President Walker, but we have data trackers
Right.
that we've created, data forms. I think some of the forms are shared with the board when I was interviewing.
Yeah.
And we're going to ensure that those forms get in the hands of our leaders so that they can support the teachers. And this way they will be able to look at data on their students and then set goals. Set individual goals, set group goals, and the administrators will be able to set grade goals and school-wide goals.
Thank you. And then finally, Dr. Wright, the public doesn't know, but the Board of Education has pretty intense conversations around graduation rates and the areas in which some of our young people are not achieving in areas that we'd like to see them achieve in. You heard Dr. Wright start off by saying that right now we're currently somewhere around the 60% mark, and he also said that it wouldn't be fair to place a percentage on it. But what if we challenged you, Dr. Wright? What if we said we'd like to see that graduation rate increase from 60-something to 70-something, and we'd like to see that benchmark improve by 2026. One, how would you answer that? And two, why is it dangerous to place percentage marks on achievement?
Great question. So the achievement, the performance data, we'll use that as our measurable objectives, right? Those are our measures. So we need to put the conditions in place first, and then outcomes, measurable outcomes, is what we talk about increasing, whether it's graduation rate, whether it's 3 to 8 assessment data. And so we will do that. But what's important is to look at, and I'll just go through it now because I think it's important. One of the things that Dr. Jordan and I talked about from a data perspective is creating a data tracker.
Okay.
They track it in a system and have individual conversations, but I think that needs to be transparent and public so that as students are walking the hallways, by their ID numbers, they can tell any staff member or any adult that's in the building where they fall in relation to graduating on time with their cohort. And so when they're able to do that, then that helps them to see that they're part of the process. I've seen that work in districts, and in those districts it was a game changer because now there's always constant communication about where students fall, whether it's Regents courses they need to take, or if it's additional credits and not mandatory credits, but just electives that they need to take. So that's one of the things that Dr. Jordan and I talked about. We will be helping the high school put in place. That's part one. Additionally, we looked at it from a standpoint of attendance trackers, right? We're working on creating an attendance dashboard that will go out weekly to let each school know where they fall in relation to their attendance rate. And we want to be able to, when we get really good at it, compare to last year so that we can tell when the pitfall is about to happen, when is the attendance about to drop off, so that whether it's our counselors or whomever that are working with our scholars, they are having those critical conversations that are needed to see how students are doing, what are their needs, and where do we move next. That's very important because if we know that we have some attendance concerns, is what do we do about it? And so that's whether we're talking about high school or our middle and elementary schools. So what I labeled that slide, which is a little later on in this presentation, is the barriers, right? We have to understand what those barriers are because that's when we'll begin to make the progress, once we understand and then put systems and supports in place.
And just to compliment you, Dr. Wright, we have the statement you just made. We do currently have a system, and maybe Dr. Jordan can speak a little bit to it at your pleasure, where we do get notifications if young people are late to class or tardy to class, and we then additionally have that same system that does notify us if a young person is missing out of first, second, or fourth period. How are we using that data that will contribute to your pacing calendars, that will contribute to your system-wide improvements to the attendance system?
So those functions that we have are critical, but now we have to look at it the same way we're going to think about multi-tier systems of support for academics. We need to put that in place for social-emotional as well. Right. So we have some students that are considered chronically absent. Right. That's when they're absent more than 10% of the time. What are we doing about them? There's some that are absent way more than 10% of the time. If you think about a 180-day school year, that's 18 days. We have some students that are absent many more days than that. So if we need to create ranges so that there's a tier 3 support, and that's for students needed intensive attendance support, all the way down to a tier 1, students who are approaching, being chronically absent. And when you look at tiered supports, that's how you differentiate for the needs of students.
Thank you, sir.
Well, so, here you go here, the multi-tiered systems of support, and using data to target instruction. Data, when used effectively, can really help you meet the needs of students. And so those are, as we put these systems in place, I really feel that it's going to help us because we'll talk differently. The questions we ask our scholars will be different. And therefore, we'll put plans together that's really aligned to what the needs are of our scholars, so that it's not just blanket supports. And that's where as you see number 2, the tier levels of support come into place. And then lastly, maintaining ongoing communication, with our families.
Brian, you want to ask a question about MTSS?
No, I wanted to talk about I know, Dr. Ray, I know you mentioned about barriers.
Yes.
Could you talk about some of the barriers that you found that is preventing our students from succeeding here in Wyandanch?
And it's the good thing is that last week I just went to a meeting with the Senator Monica Martinez, and we talked about several things that have happened. One, we have I would say a transient population, and McKinney-Vento wise, we have a large population of students who are classified as McKinney-Vento, and so as a result, we need to ensure that we have the funding to meet their needs. And I think you've been part of one of the processes. You and Dr. Jordan have been working on some things. And the problem is that there's funding that was allotted in the past to meet the needs of that population or subgroup that has been eliminated for this year. And so we were looking at putting some really robust resources in place so that our kids would feel comfortable while they're in school. So, I don't want to steal the thunder of about Trustee Brown and Dr. Jordan. If you want me to talk about one of the pieces y'all put in place, I will, or you can talk about it.
You can.
I would love for you to do it, but I do.
You can talk about it.
Right. So, sometimes it's hard for our scholars, they may not have the funding available to ensure that they come to school well kept. And when that happens, sometimes they're embarrassed. And so what we were looking at doing is we developed a partnership with one of the local laundromats. And so we were getting funding. We were going to utilize funding in order to ensure that our families had the resources that they need. So we're looking at now putting through a different funding, Title I funding, but maximizing our resources to meet the needs of our students. So that's one barrier. There's also, the barrier of some of our students. It's a balancing act. Do they work, or do they come to school? And that's a hard choice for some of our scholars. So we're working. Dr. Jordan and I just had a meeting, and I don't want to give it away yet till we really are able to solidify it, but it really talks to one of the questions Trustee Brown asked us some weeks ago. You won't find out the answer yet, but if it happens, it'll actually bring joy to to me, because I want to ensure that we meet the needs of all of our scholars, presently, or those who are on the outside contemplating what they want to do. I talked about the graduation tracker already, but also, and I'm talking Dr. Jordan's name a lot because I'm talking data, but we also, in the title services, but we also talked about looking at our cohort, our 12th grade cohort now. So that's our 2021 cohort, or our 2022 cohort, I should say. And we want to see what percentage of that cohort is on track to graduate, because that's where it starts. If we want to look at the graduation data, we want to ensure that most, if not all, of our students are on track. Because if not, then we're working from a lower percentage right off the bat. So in most cases, in a lot of school districts, 90+% are on track. In the past, there have been some years where we started with much less than 90%. So it's important for us to look at where our students are so that we can determine what those needs are. So we're going to put after-school funding in place, especially for our high school, but we want to make sure that the interventions or the program is targeted to the needs. So we want to ensure that the tracker is out so that the right students are being targeted and getting all of the resources that they need, especially if they're close to graduation rate. Yes, Mr. Simmons.
Okay, so I know you're talking a lot about the data, and when we come up with solutions for it, how are we going to make sure that the teachers are taking the criticism constructively, making sure that they're actually implementing it in their class, and also when we give out the data, we want to see, how we want to make sure that the communication with the teacher is still there. We can't just give them the data, give them a solution, and then have them just take it. We don't know if they're actually going to be implementing it. We have to make sure that at least within a month of giving the data, that they're actually using it, we can see results from it, so we can get the proper data back to analyze again.
The follow-ups.
Correct.
See, look at that. He's benefiting us already.
That's right.
Great questions. And so that's why it's really important that there are data sessions that take place, between administration and, and the staff, so that there's a conversation about the students and their plans put in place, their goals that are set, and therefore then their follow-up meetings to see how students are doing. When we set up the system, that's what will ensure that these things take place on an ongoing basis. So you heard me talk about multi-tier systems of support. So through that process, there are ongoing, they're called cycles. And so during those cycles, every 6 to 8 weeks, you should be bringing the family back to the table to have that conversation, to discuss the progress or lack thereof that the scholars are making, so that then you can determine what are the next steps, right? So if we do that the way it's supposed to be done, then we'll be number one in communication with our students and our families, and then we will be ensuring from that data protocol that we are targeting the needs and then determining the next steps. So great question. Thank you.
Dr. Wright, as you go on, I'm just going to ask that the Board of Education, wherever you see an area, please chime in. Remember, this is your discussion with your superintendent. And the public gets an opportunity to see your best thinking as it pertains to goal setting and moving your district forward, so don't be shy. Finally, Dr. Wright, sometimes we hear that there are indicators in the freshman year that affect the outcomes in 12th grade as it pertains to credit accumulation, being present daily for school. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what some of those indicators could look like early on in that 9th grade year that will ultimately affect their senior year?
Right. So great question. If we are effective at putting together a tracker,
Yep.
what will happen is that we will be able to identify right off the bat the needs of students. The high school team, they do a really good job considering, right? Students come in. If you look at the data, 3 to 8 data, or let's say middle school data over the years, what you'll see is that, for instance, in math, we've been struggling in math for many years,
Yes.
recent years, I should say.
Yeah.
And so as they come in, the high school has to put supports in place in order to try to get them to pass Algebra 1, because a lot of students come in without the credit. Right. So what we want to do is, since we know that's an issue, we want to try to put a plan in place, whether it's through AIS or after school, in order to ensure that we are identifying those students who haven't passed, that are in 9th grade, who took the algebra exam in 8th grade, and prepare them so that they can pass this year.
Okay.
Because what happens is, if they take it and don't pass again, it becomes deflating, and then they're behind in terms of their credits. Yes.
Just wanted to touch. I want you to touch on the students that come in that are mostly like Spanish speaking.
Mhm.
How do we put in accommodations and steps for them? Because I know that barrier in language is definitely very big, and it's very deflating for them as well when they have to read questions in English and then also try to bring it back to their own language.
Great question. So, what I'll say is a couple things. One, data shows that when our scholars are biliterate, they actually do better. I think the goal is that we have to get them biliterate, right? You know, and so, and that just means proficient in both English and the native language. And so, our director of world language, he's, for instance, with the high school, he's working on what you call a PSYOP model, and it's a method of instruction, you know, for students that are in like the ENL courses. And so with that support, and he will be providing much more support this year, is going to support, you know, that population of students. Also, it doesn't start there. I have to make sure that students in our elementary and middle school are moving forward as well. There are 5 categories, 5 or 6 categories of proficiency. You know, we have to ensure that they keep moving forward so that they don't need the service anymore. I think what's happened over the years is that they have remained too long. They have remained in needing ENL support for too long of a period, and we have to ensure that if they're with us in elementary school, that we are providing the support and the resources so that they can move forward. If I'm correct, I think we were without a director of ENL for a couple of years, and that actually hurt the district that much more.
Yeah, that is correct.
But great question.
I have a question.
Sure.
I have a question. I know we were talking about graduation rate, but what about the students that actually dropped out? What are we doing to bring those students back and to make sure that they're supported?
And that's what I was talking about. And I don't want to give that away yet until we're able to get an agreement. And when we get closer, we'll have a conversation. I'll pull you in specifically because that was one of your questions this summer, but Dr. Jordan and I had a great conversation.
That's one of my concerns, is making sure that the students have the support that they need and the services, you know, that they do need to come back. You know, we want those students to come back to school and make sure that they do graduate.
I definitely agree with you. Thank you. Great question. I'm good. No, I'm good. So I talked through that already. So, and then this is the question, right? You know, that you asked earlier, President Walker. You know, how will we measure success?
Yeah.
And that's when we'll look at growth in student achievement data. You know, state and local assessments. So we have not only, let's say for 3 to 8, we have ELA math and science data, but we also have benchmark type assessments that we take throughout the course of the year, what we call formative assessments. And that's how we see, for instance, MLK is taking that assessment this week. And after they finish that assessment, they will begin to look at that data along with an assessment, a reading assessment that they took last week. The principal and I, Dr. Havisham and I, we already had a conversation about, you know, what I want to see, you know, moving forward. And then they'll look at the state assessment data and then do what we call triangulating the data. So using these different assessments and seeing if there's alignment so that they can really put the plans in place, especially for our scholars that are in need of additional support. But therefore, we're not looking at one piece of data, but several pieces of data to make those decisions.
So Dr. Wright, if I could, for the common listener, data, increase, percentages, what does that look like in the day-to-day toil? Let's talk mentorship, let's talk tutoring, let's talk one-to-one differentiated supports, let's talk about lesson plans, so that the common listener gets an idea of what that looks like in the actual classroom.
So curriculum, something that I stated in our administrative retreat back in August, that I'm very passionate about is that as we are utilizing resources, we need to ensure that there's varied perspectives, multiple perspectives that are being looked at. I think a lot of times what happens in districts is we look at, let's say history for instance, from one worldview, and for our scholars, that can get, that can become, they can become disengaged because they're not seeing themselves, they're not understanding what's being taught, or because it's coming from a perspective that isn't really involving them, where they know that they have played a role, in society. But also, even more important is that it's the role of us as educators to ensure that we are teaching criticality. And what I mean by that is that they can really analyze, what it is that they're reading, and then challenge, and look at different perspectives. That's really the purpose of education. If you've ever had the opportunity to read Dr. Martin Luther King's his essay, when he sent it to a college and he talked about the purpose of education, it's not just to learn how to add and subtract. It's to really, education is really about being able to apply it in multiple perspectives, so that in life you will be able to really, really, really understand and then make a difference. It's our civic engagement. It's our civic responsibility, and we need to ensure that we are helping our scholars understand civic engagement so that they can help make not only Wyandanch, but our world, a better place. So that's another goal of mine, to ensure we're not just teaching history and facts just as that, and not giving opportunity for our scholars to challenge, because they have to use their brain.
Go ahead.
What are you doing to hold the teachers accountable for failing students?
I think that's why, without trackers, without, assessments, without data conversations that I call data dialogues, what happens is there's not enough check-ins, with our educators. And, sometimes there are supports that's needed, and the support comes from conversation, those data dialogues, so that needs can be met. So that's what I want to ensure happens. We have lead teachers, we have, department leads, and they have to play a role in that as well. Ensuring that those conversations are taking place with the principals, especially when they see that our scholars aren't really making the progress they need to make. And then, there's, Dr. Kwan as well, and this is where she comes in, because not only has she helped ensure that we are creating those pacing calendars, but she's having those conversations with the principals.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to ask, how about when you give the criticism to these teachers, how do we ensure their flexibility? How do we know that they're going to take it, actually use it? How do we know that they're not just going to, swipe you off after and continue back to how they're teaching and how they want to teach their class?
Great question. That's why we have building leaders. It's not a top-down approach. I will have monthly meetings, with the building leaders and actually all the administrators. Will be a part at some point throughout the meeting, and that's where we'll talk about next steps. But the building leaders are responsible for meeting with their faculty and staff, and then laying out, based on what it is that's expectations coming from central office, laying out their plans in their schools. And if there are some concerns that they're having, some things they're not able to do, it's their responsibility to have the conversations with, the team so that they can get the support. So, and then we'll have check-ins with them. So, great question.
So
As you see, additionally, with the multi-tier systems of support, there's just more opportunity for participation, in differentiated instruction that meets the needs of students. That's what we call tiered supports, which, if we are successful, what will happen is that we will decrease the percentage of students that are scoring way below grade level standards. And that's important, because we've looked and in many cases we've seen where scholars are scoring 2 to 3 grade levels below where they should be performing. So we have to differentiate the instruction to meet their needs. And as I said earlier, improve curriculum implementation fidelity, and then and if done right, we'll start seeing that. We'll start seeing through our surveys positive feedback, from the families, and that's what we use. All of that will be used to help us see that we're having some success with the pieces we're putting in place.
Question, Dr. Wright.
Yes.
So I know we covered briefly barriers that you pointed out. My question to you is, what mental health support do you have in place and plan for when you do come across some of these barriers? Do you have a plan that, and I'm not saying we don't have mental health support now in our district, but what additional mental health support do you plan on implementing?
So I think tonight one of the resolutions is a revision of a contract that for mental health services in our high school. So that's one. I just actually had a conversation with the organization today to see how we can expand that to provide services in our if not all buildings, at least one more building. So that's one. And then I know that we've had trauma-informed practices. We have a consultant that comes in. I'm going to be assessing, because I also have additional people who I think can come in, that I know come in and do an amazing job of that work. But, that's the work, right? Understanding what the needs really are, but not just of our scholars. I think we need to do it district-wide. We need to do it for our faculty and staff as well, because I see a lot of trauma that exists. So, if we're ever going to get to that goal of one community, one Wyandanch, then, it's a lot of work that has to be done to get there. So I'm thinking, from a bird's eye view, all the things that need to happen, not just, in one way.
That's good.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So when you look at the achievement metrics, that goes back to we're talking about now increased levels.
Right.
3s and 4s on state assessments. We need to see more of that, because when we begin to see more of that in 3 through 8, then we know our high school data will improve that much more. But it doesn't start 3 to 8. I looked at data in our early elementary school as well. And we talked about how we will be having a groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow, which is great. It's going to be state-of-the-art building. But we need to ensure until that point that everything that we're doing is to meet the needs of those scholars. And so that's what we'll be doing as well. We have assessments going all the way down to K that we use. And what's important is that we distinguish between a student just not ready as opposed to a student needing additional support, because that happens as well. So we're looking at those assessments. We have meetings this summer with our administrators in our early childhood building. The discussions were great. The same day that I walked through to talk with Dr. Havisham, Principal Dr. Havisham, not HR Havisham. I also went and I spoke to the principal of the early childhood school and I explain the expectations. And I show how the data form that we will be using will be implemented to really catch some things that weren't caught.
Systematically. Okay.
So I talked a little bit already about attendance, which was, the second goal. And it's really 3 goals. I'm gonna stop at 2 today. The third goal, which brings that
Full circle.
towards that one Wyandanch, is about engagement. Right, engagement from a student perspective, engagement from a faculty and staff perspective, and also from a family perspective. Yes.
Just to go back a little bit, so as far as helping those below average students and average students for like the middle school, high school levels, how are we avoiding or like steering away from student on student teaching and making sure that those students that are performing high keep performing higher while we also get those below average students getting up there?
Absolutely. It's very important. And what was the question I asked you tonight? After you let me know that you passed on track already.
The college classes or college credit courses.
Challenges. Huh?
Absolutely. We need to ensure that our district has more dual enrollment courses, right? When you look at when you look at school districts across the state and in other states, you see that there's they have a high number of dual enrollment courses. Dual enrollment courses mean where you get high school credit and you also get college credit. We have scholars that are achieving at high rates. We don't only want to keep them in Wyandanch. We want to make sure that we meet their needs so that when they go to college, they have college credits, so that cost is so much less for them over the years. So that means we need to look at our courses, ensure that we have more dual enrollment type courses, P-Tech courses, there's Smart Scholar courses. There are several different programs that are out there that will help us. We do have some already, but we can create more. And when we do so, we will ensure that we're meeting the needs of our scholars that are working on an advanced track.
That are high performing.
But great question.
And what about to avoid the student on student teaching and get up those below average students and average students without affecting those?
Burdening them with that responsibility.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why we want to put in place like our after school programs to start supporting students where they are, right? So that we can begin building them, and that's teachers working with them after school. When we do more of that, it will shift the trajectory. When I had a conversation with our senior cabinet, and one of the things that I talked about is that I didn't totally get when I came in and when I was preparing, that I understand now, that's that I'm very passionate about, is that our schools need to become the hub, right, of the district from a standpoint for our scholars. Our attendance rates are not the greatest right now, but what will change the attendance rates is when our schools become the hub. So that our scholars don't want to go home. And we can do that by what we put, the type of programming that we put into our schools, for after school, clubs, etc. And then it's not just about sports. We have to be able to reach all of our scholars. So when we do that, our scholars will be here. They'll stay. We need to ensure that we have food, we have all the resources that are needed for our scholars. And so that's a long-term project, but we will try to put some things in place this year to see how it works, so that as we build out in future budgets, we can ensure that happens. And we'll look for grants to make sure that happens as well. But that's a long-term project, but our schools have to become the hub in that way, where our scholars don't want to, they want to stay with us, and not go home in the evening. I mean, eventually I have to go home, but
But at least
they'll
we
go
get
home
that time while
filled,
they're here.
filled with knowledge, filled with engagement, and with their stomachs filled as well.
Right. All right.
Yes. Yes, there will be pilots in place, absolutely. This year is the start of that.
Okay.
So, one of the things that will happen, you know, we have to be intentional, right? If we want something to happen, it's not going to happen without intentionality. So we want our attendance rate to increase. We have to have a goal, right? You know, so that's going to be an expectation, you know, for all of our schools to have goals, you know, related to attendance. We already have the correspondence that happens with families when our scholars, they miss a class or they're not in school for whatever reason. But, you know, it's important that we have a goal so that when we see that we are off track, we know that we need to make adjustments. We need to make some tweaks in what it is that we're doing. And that's where the tiered levels of support comes into place as well. Mm-hmm. So we want to, because it's important that we understand the needs of our students, as I talked about before, the barriers that could exist. You know, so we need to understand each scholar's story, right? If we're gonna personalize instruction, we need to understand what's happening with our scholars, why they might be missing school, and therefore we'll be able to personalize the support as well, and then create those attendance incentives, you know, to help as well. And those really work, especially in our schools where our youngest scholars are. They'll fight to come to school when they know that there's incentives. We just want to get them here, and then we'll do the rest. Our magic will take over. So as I talked about earlier, you know, the attendance monitoring, why that's important, you know, because what it'll allow is that us to see those early warning signs when a student is off track, when a class is off track, when a grade is off track, you know, when the district is off track, you know, not meeting the set goals. And then just as important, maybe even more important, those students that are chronically absent, like I said before, they have over a 10% absence rate. You know, we need to make sure that we have tiered supports to ensure that we know what's going on and then we have a plan to meet their needs. Also, I talked about it earlier, but in our tracker, we want to be able to compare data to points in time. So let's say end of September 2025 to the end of September 2024 to see if there's a major difference. If so, why? We need to understand why. If we don't get to the what and the why, then how are we going to have an impact? And then increase community partnerships, right, Ms. Brown, Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Yes, that's super important. You know, we have organizations that we work with, so we need to be strategic in what it is that we're doing. So if they're already doing after-school programs, how can we tap in to ensure that we're providing support for our students? So can we pull students for 30 minutes at a time to provide them with support that they need? Those are the things we need to look at when I say be strategic. And if we do those things well, they can have academic support as well as enrichment taking place, you know, within their after-school program. If we are successful, you know, when we measure outcomes, what we'll see is increased foundational knowledge, leading to student achievement gains, right? From our early childhood students, because we see that, you know, there's a heavy chronic absentee rate in our early childhood program as well. So we're able to really identify and then work with our families and get students in. It'll change. You know, the data shows that when students are absent in those early grades, it really puts them behind. You know, and that's coming right out of, you know, you can look at several data studies and it shows that we need our scholars in school from the early years. And what will happen is they become engaged and they stay on task, but also they hit those achievement levels that are aligned to their grade rubric. Also, more important, just as important, increased graduation rates. You know, and then lastly, it improves the relationships among students. You know, when students in school, they learn those socialization skills that they need to be successful. So we want our scholars in school, you know, every day. Lastly, I just want to say to our Board of Education, you know, to all our trustees, thank you for your leadership. It's important. You know, thank you for allowing me to have a conversation about the goals. We will define our goals even more over the next few weeks as the data is coming back to us now. You know, rest assured we will. But thank you once again.
Thank you. Round of applause for everybody. So Jessica, just as I turn from Dr. Wright, I just want you to capture that the bulk of tonight's conversation was about student achievement as the umbrella, focusing on graduation rates, attendance rates, and overall engagement. The goals will be defined even more. This particular presentation should be memorialized in our minutes. And further, we'll ask that Dr. Wright distribute that presentation to the Board of Education for their full review. I then ask that the Board of Education takes that information and looks at it to make it more specific to your needs, because eventually we'll have to adopt that as a body and move forward with those goals.
Thank you.
We agree? Yes, we agree. Also, Jessica, if you could just speak to the Board of Education and the public about our plans for attire and where you are in that process.
Sure. So I did speak with the director of the athletics department, because he actually has been the key person ordering all of the updated attire for the district with the new logo. So we have placed a order for the polo shirts and the vest for everyone to at least have that. And I'll get your size just to make sure we have one of those for you as well. And then as Vice President Baker also mentioned, to try to get some, at least the wording on there, I'm going to confirm with him whether or not it was on there, but to try to differentiate the those items that will actually have the Board of Education listed on there.
Okay.
So either way, we'll get those things together, and whatever else that we would like to add to that, then we'll also be working on that as the school year continues on.
So public, just so you all are aware, the Board of Education decided following our retreat that everyone would like to at least dress similarly as your governance and leadership team at least once per month per meeting. So the conversation you're hearing is about the attire with our new logo, our new vision, our new willingness to come together and be united to show a level of solidarity as we move forward this school year. So thank you, Jessica. Keep us apprised. All right. Moving now to hearing and receiving of delegates.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I actually didn't receive anyone to sign up, but if there was anyone that was here that wanted to speak, okay. So we'll have you go up to the mic first, and if there's anyone else that would like to speak, you can just let me know, and I'll add you to the list.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, my name is Cindy Paschal, I'm a teacher. Most of all, Good evening, my name is Cindy Paschal, I am a teacher, a resident of Wyandanch for 25 years plus. I went to school here during my earlier years. I did not graduate from Wyandanch, but I did allow 7 of my children to graduate from Wyandanch, so they are alumni. My thing that I've noticed, school has started. I love the initiative that the superintendent has for changing and bringing the grades up. But just in my daily walking in my building, we do have all of those new AIS things. But my main concern is the resource, we don't have a resource room person who is certified to help the special ed do their resource room. So I was wondering, did you get a chance to look into that, and are we going to get that corrected? Or, because the reading teacher is doing it, and the other person who's not reading certified, but she's doing it, she's a certified teacher. But resource room, IEPs, you know, they need that special ed person to do that piece. So I just was wondering if you knew, or, you know, are we working on that? Because that's what's going to improve the data.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The regulations allow for resource room services to be provided by a certified special education teacher or a certified teacher in the area of literacy and reading instruction. In the case of resource room services at LFH, there was a conflict in terms of the way the scheduling for the building had been done, where teachers, certified special education teachers assigned to resource room had to leave the inclusion classes in order to provide the resource services, which left us with a compliance issue for the ICT students in terms of the number of hours of direct service they were receiving. So we had some discussions with the leadership at LFH about how that could be remedied, and their solution was to utilize the certified reading instructors to cover the resource room, which meets the requirements of regulation.
We already did that. We just saying we've done that before, and the superintendent wants something different, want a different outcome. We can't do the same thing over and over and look for that outcome. His trajectory is totally different, so I think we need to comply with trying to, you know, find someone to do the task.
I think though, one of the things what I'll say is that when we talk about if it's a reading issue, right?
It
If
could
it's,
be more than that. Remember, it's the whole child that's getting resource.
but the IEP is dictating the service that they're receiving during that time, during the resource room time. So if it is an issue around reading, you know, to have a special teacher, a reading teacher who specializes and supports, that might be what it is, just as helpful. And then if we see that there are other needs, absolutely, you know, we will ensure that those other needs are being met. You know, so you know, I appreciate it.
Does that answer your question? Until the parent hear what the answer was, then I'll let you know how they feel about it.
We'll have them contact.
Right. Yes. Yes. Any family, any of our families who have concerns, you know, if they contact district office, we will route them to the person who oversees that department. So, for instance, you just heard from Dr. Gallagher. Dr. Gallagher is the person who oversees our special education department. So she will make sure that that the needs of our scholars is being met.
Okay, so just to, I guess, confirm, was there anyone else that wanted to speak tonight? You did? Okay. So if you can just go up to the podium and then just state your name so I can write it down. And then we'll move on to the next person, okay?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jose.
Hi, Jose.
Some of you know me, you know. But I have nothing prepared now, but I want to listen to our superintendent, you know. And at this time, you know, I want to talk about an invisible part, you know, in this system, you know, which are us, you know, parents. I didn't hear, you know, anything about how can we be active part, you know, this. Just remember something that when a teacher take our kids, you know, by the hand, it take a parent, you know, by the heart, you know. Mm-hmm. And I'm very concerned, you know. I'm working with another school, you know. I am a member of the PTA, and I be looking this, you know, we can help a lot, you know. Remember that when the kids go to the bus, you know, hours before, you know, we prepare the kids, you know, to get ready, you know.
That's all right.
It's one thing, you know, that I would like to address, you know, that count on us, you know, do something, you know, that we could be part, you know. Mm-hmm. And I know we have talented parents, you know, in Wyandanch, you know, that we could make the difference, you know. One thing. The second one is, you know, we have around the corner, you know, a Spanish celebration, you know. And our school, you know, we're working on, you know. And by the way, tomorrow we have a meeting, you know, to shape, you know, this celebration. Yeah. But we are 65%, you know, in the community, you know, Spanish, you know. I don't see, you know, too many association groups, you know, doing something. Remember that soon we're gonna have, you know, Black History Month too. Listen, we are a family, you know. Wyandanch is a family, you know, and let's work together, you know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is the next person who would like to speak? Pastor? Well, do you want to go? Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Board, superintendent, and the committee and the community. My name is Daniel Marcano. I'm the president of the WTA, the Teachers Union. And I know there were some pretty concerns or direct concerns of, directed at the teachers and the reception of the superintendent's goals and implementation of his goals. And, you know, I just want to ensure that, you know, we are team players. We are in this together. We also want to see everything rise up. You know, I've definitely bought into One Wyandanch. It's been my goal, my mission, personally, and to unify. Well, we don't need to be on separate islands. We don't need to be trying to do anything on our own. You know, it takes a village. And it's going to take a village to get these grades and graduation and attendance, everything up. You know, I don't advocate for that, and I don't expect that from my unit as well. You have my word, and I'm here speaking directly to those concerns that, as their representative, I am going to be speaking directly to them to uphold that standard and to keep that bar high. Are there going to be a small percentage of teachers that don't buy in? That is the case. Are there going to be some contractual constraints that may kind of like, you know, make that vision blurred? Possibly, but I'm there to kind of wipe that glass and make sure that they understand and just know that, you know, and I'm sure you can walk around the room and talk to any of the superintendents that we're in this together. And if there's some flexibility that's needed, if there's any, you know, any common ground that could be found in any type of criticism or whatever the case is, then I'm on board to sitting down and collectively bargaining or collectively coming up with a solution. Right? So I'm a peacemaker. I'm not going to come in here and you know, do anything that's going to be detrimental, first and foremost, for these kids. And I will definitely never advocate for a teacher doing that. I take it very personal. As soon as I had my kids, it brought my dedication to my craft that much more serious. I hold my students, I hold my kids, teachers to a high standard, and I make sure that I hold them accountable to everything that they do with my daughters under their care and supervision. And I would hope that myself, with the kids that I'm in charge of, and any teacher do the same. All right, so just wanted you to hear it from me that there's no difference of message that's going back to the teachers. It's going to be the same. And I hope that if there's any issues, that we can kind of work together at coming up with a solution. All right, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. And Pastor Cole?
I just want to say to Mr. Marcano, you know, thank you for that. He's been, you know, a great advocate. You know, from the time that I entered the district, we worked well together, and he has been just that, as he said. You know, we've been able to iron out, any issues that have occurred, you know, throughout. You know, so you know, I respect you, and I respect the work that you're doing with your unit. You know, thank you, and look forward to continue working with you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam President,
Sir.
Superintendent, Assistant Superintendent, Dr. Kwan, Mr. Wilson, Chase, all your esteemed board members. I've heard a lot tonight. And I'm not here to advocate for anybody except from where I came from. And the reason why I got to where I am today is because my mother didn't leave it on the school. My father didn't leave it on the school. As the PTSA president, we will be looking to have parenting workshops where parents get involved. Don't come to the principals in May and in June and say, why my child not graduating? What was you doing all year long? You didn't know that they were failing? You didn't know that they weren't turning in assignments? You weren't checking in with your own children? And then we want to turn around and push this on the educators, and it's difficult. And it's demotivating when they get that at the end of the school year. I couldn't, my mother checked my book bag every night. Was your homework done? Then did you read? It wasn't TV time, it was reading time.
Right.
And there's a difference. Every year, it's just like new snowfall. The teachers get new snowfall, and they get to walk through it, and I always like it because it's amazing. I leave a trail, but that trail is for someone else to follow. I always followed in my father's footsteps so that I could get through. They're following our footsteps to get through. We just got to leave the proper trails.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the educators, I'm talking about the parents. The reason why my nephew, who came to Wyandanch Memorial High School with nothing, he came from Virginia with nothing, and he was mentally challenged. The special ed department in Wyandanch Memorial High School not only got him to graduate, but Cameron now holds a job, has his own apartment, and he's taking care of himself. That's because I didn't leave it on the high school to do alone. I was there every day. I worked with the teachers so that he would get what he needed on both ends. And that's why I got into the PTSA. I wasn't always the president, I was just a member. But we have to get more involved. It's less pointing fingers and more active. If we can get active, if we can activate the parents, we can change things. We can become one Wyandanch if the parents get involved. It's great, but the parents have to get involved with the kids. It'll be a total difference. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that completes the hearing of the delegates.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your passionate commentary. It did not fall on deaf ears. I happen to also have an affinity for PTAs and PTSAs. I've chartered a few in my time. And I know that we say families, but I think we just need to say, no, we say parents, but we need to say families because families are defined by many moving parts, neighbors, grandparents, aunties, babysitters, different people. We need everybody, right? Pastor, we need everybody to get involved. And it's similar to what the gentleman, Jose, said in the back. Don't leave the parents out. Pull them in to get them involved. And we do want to see more of you. And we don't want to create a barrier between us and you. It's one school, one family, one community connection. It's a trifecta. And the only way it'll work is if it's triangulated and if we all do it together. I don't have to preach to the choir because many of us already show up. It's the other stuff that we have to do. We have to figure out what the barrier, what's holding them back from coming to us. Maybe we have to go to them. We have to go to them, and we have to figure out what that looks like. We do. We say it all the time, bridge the gap, reach out on platforms, and it works sometimes, but it's inconsistent. We don't get the same outcome each time, and we really need to figure out what that should look like consistently. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure, but I think that we can all do it. We have incredibly bright, brilliant, talented, skilled people that we're here that we know that we can rely on, and we need to pull from every rich bank that we have. So thank you for that. Moving right along now to resolutions. What is the pleasure of, I hear block vote. Is that the pleasure of the board on this evening? To block vote all resolutions?
There's something in here that I picked up on. I don't think block voting is the answer.
Do you want to pull a particular resolution, or do you want to go through each one by one?
Well, I'm looking at this here. It says pending background and fingerprints. Why are we being presented?
Where are you? Tell me where you are.
Personnel number 5.
So let's pull personnel number 5 for discussion. Just put a little sticker to it. What else? Trustee Holder, you have something you want to discuss?
No.
Personnel number 5. What else, Trustee Brown?
That's it. That's the only one that I picked up on. The other ones we already talked about.
Okay. Board of Education from this side, is there something else you'd like to see pulled for further discussion, or can we block vote the rest? I'm sorry?
She said block vote, but I said for her to say it in the mic.
Yeah, I can't hear you, please.
Block vote.
All right.
Wait, hold on.
Sorry.
That's something else.
Go ahead. No, don't be sorry. Tell me what it is.
So personnel number 6, I have questions on this one. I have questions about A and C.
Mm-hmm. Personnel number 6, A and C. Go ahead.
Okay.
Any other resolutions? So at this point,
I'm done now.
you sure?
I think so.
Personnel's number 5 and 6, particularly letters A and C on number 6.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Attorney Gomez, I see you perusing. What
I just
else?
had a question.
Go ahead.
Trustee Brown, only A, O through W have this language about the background.
She
So
just
are you-
discussing personnel
okay.
number
So
6 so that she
Are
can
you okay with
be
them voting
specified,
on
so
A
she can
through
specify
N?
where her
Yes.
questions are.
That's
Okay.
fine.
So
It's just the one
personnel
that
A
says
through
pending
N,
or
Trustee
says
Brown is
pending.
okay with because that doesn't have anything to do with the fingerprint clearance.
Mhm.
So
But,
Adrienne is okay?
yep,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
O
that's
through
it.
W, she is going to want us to pull for further discussion.
All right.
Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
That's it?
Yep.
All right, Board of Education, there's a motion on the floor to block vote all resolutions with the exception of Personnel 5, particularly letters A through N, Personnel number 6, A and C.
Sorry. O through W is what we're pulling on 5.
I didn't say that?
We're pulling O through W.
Okay.
And
Did I
then
just say that?
You said A through N.
Oh, I apologize. Let me restate that. Motion to block vote all resolutions with the exception of personnel number 5, letters O through W for further discussion. Personnel 6, letters A and C. She just said, okay.
She wants to do W, so we're gonna do O through W. Yep. Yeah, it's okay.
Clear?
Yep.
No. You ready? For clarity, once again, motion to block vote all resolutions with the exception of personnel 5, letters O through W. Personnel 6, letters A and C. Is there a first? Baker, Walker will second. Any questions?
Dr. Kwan, there was an amendment.
What's the amendment in, Dr. Kwan? There's a question on the floor. There's a first and a second.
So good evening, for curriculum 1, we have a resolution for the athletics department. They had a summer program, which started with Mr. Davis,
Okay.
our previous athletic director. And in the transition over the summer with Dr. Scarlett, there was an invoice of $1,400 for the summer program running over the summer, and within the transition, it was missed in terms of the invoice.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's all right. Go ahead. So, Dr. Kwan, before the board includes that in the block vote, if you could just read the amended final paragraph where it says,
Curriculum
be it
one.
resolved. This is curriculum number 1 that we're looking at. And the only portion that is going to be amended is that final paragraph, and Dr. Kwan will read it as amended. If the board is in agreement with that amendment, then this item will be included
In the block vote.
block vote.
Yeah.
I have questions about that.
Hold that, just hold that, Brown, for 1 second.
So I'll just read the
Amended
amended
portion.
portion. Be it resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools that the Board of Education approves the payment of an invoice by the Wyandanch Union Free School District to the town of Babylon for June 9th, 2025 through July 14th, 2025 in the amount of $1,400.
Got it. What's the question, Trustee Brown? Is it this
What work?
curriculum
yeah,
one?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
what work, how do we know what work was, done throughout the summer? Cause it started, what you said, it started with Davis first?
Yes, it was with, it started with Mr. Davis, and the dates were from June 27th to July 28th. So it was a summer program that occurred, as athletics program through MAC. And within the time of the transition between the two athletic directors and the end of the program, the invoice was not covered during
Could you
that
explain
time.
what MAC is?
I don't really know too much about the program, but I know that
It was
Yeah, how are we voting on some?
it
money
was,
without
right,
knowing what the
So you could
program
pull
is?
it,
1 second.
just pull curriculum 1.
So they,
It was for the Wyandanch High School varsity and junior varsity teams. They participated in the MACK Summer League, which took place from June 27th to July 28th. Yeah.
I know the MAC very well, from Amityville. I didn't know that we paid for them to play basketball in a summer league.
So why don't we pull that for further
Could we
discussion?
please, yeah, I would like to know more
Let's pull
about
it.
this.
We're gonna post curriculum 1 for further discussion and clarity.
It was a soccer program.
A soccer program?
Yes.
Okay, I know, the MAC was for basketball, I didn't know they also had a soccer program.
We'll pull it for discussion.
so just for clarification to my knowledge from what our athletic director explained was that, it was a training program, to provide, support to our student athletes, over the summer. What happened was that it was in session prior to him arriving, and so he didn't realize that there wasn't, resolution put forth. But it was, so he didn't find out until the end of the summer as they were requesting, funding for the program.
Still wanna take it and discuss it, right? Okay. Just to clarify what's happening on the motion, we have personnel number 5, O through W, personnel number 6, A and C, and now curriculum number 1 pulled for further discussion. There's a first and a second on the floor. All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? 6-0-0. And now for the actual vote. Is there a first? Moore, Walker, questions? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? The count is 6. Board of Ed, so curriculum 1, you want to discuss those in an executive session, or how do you want to, yes? Curriculum you can really discuss probably in public. Would you like to do that now or after you discuss personnel?
After it's fine.
After. So now the Board of Education has taken action on all items except for the 3 noted, and they'd like to go into executive session to discuss personnel's 5 and 6. The letters indicated. Is there first?
Brown.
Brown, is there a second? Corbin, questions?
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes.
Ms. Wilson is supposed to be introducing our treasurer.
Oh, he deferred to Mr. Chase.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to introduce to you Josette Rosenfeld, who's
Yes.
the district treasurer that you approved back in July.
Okay.
As you know, there are 3 direct reports to the board.
Mm-hmm.
The first being the superintendent, the other 2 being the district clerk and district treasurer. Josette currently works as the accountant for the business office, a very much needed addition to the business office. We had gotten away from the model of having an accountant / treasurer for a few years. And had gone to part-time status for various reasons. That doesn't really work very well. One of which is that you don't have the individual in district every day.
Right.
And you have that need sometimes every day.
Okay.
Just to briefly go through what some of the treasurer's responsibilities are. One is to manage really the cash of the district, the cash flow of the district, to make sure that the district has enough money free and available at times when needed, either for accounts payable, payroll, a variety of items. One other main responsibility is the investment of the district's money at this point, when we have available funds.
Okay.
And luckily, during the last few years, we have had money to invest. And so we need to make sure that's invested wisely, but at the same time liquid for when we need it. So Mrs. Rosenfeld takes care of those items, as well as to do the reporting on those to the board. So we just wanted to take this opportunity to match the face to the name.
Thank you, ma'am, for your services. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming. And thank you for preparing those reports. They are vital, obviously, to what we do. And if you ever want to just come and speak with us, let us know. Anything you want to say tonight?
Just thank you for this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
This is my first board meeting.
Okay.
Now I could match the faces when I see you in the hallway. I can say hi.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to come. And,
Thank you.
I'm always available. I'm here, full time.
Okay.
So that was one of the things that Mr. Chase did touch on.
Yeah.
That I'm revisiting here. I was here a couple of years ago, and I'm back. And having a part-time treasurer was a little difficult at times.
Okay.
So me being here in the building, I think is definitely beneficial to the district. And I am available, and I'm ready, and I'm willing, and I love numbers, and I love money, and I love work and I'm here.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Nice to finally make your acquaintance. All right, we have a first and a second on the floor. All in favor? Any opposed or abstaining? Count is 6 at 8:43 p.m. to discuss personnel. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the community, families, and teachers and staff. Thank you again. I hope to see you next time. Thank you. Tristan, how do we do? All right. Give a round of applause again, y'all. You did great. One step up. Thank you so much. All right. We'll see you next time. You sure? All right. I love it.
Great question.
Right? He did great. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Yeah. It's like, well, what about the kid? I'm like, what? Let's complain about that. Don't burden them. They don't pay them. They're there to learn. All right.